What's up? I'm Tshepi Moji off of 5 weekend early mornings. Today I'm chatting to somebody who I got to discover really serendipitously a couple of, is it years now?
I think it's years now.
Years.
Dude, yeah.
I was introduced to a project of yours and I gave it a listen and I was like, done. Archi, thank you so much for hanging out with me on 5 Unscripted. I'm super excited to get into this with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous.
I am as well, but like we can't both be nervous.
Yeah,
so like
I get you.
Let's hope that the nervousness cancels each other out.
If you can put on a strong face, I think I'll pull through.
In the zone. The zone.
I can't do no small talk. No small talk. I'm not with the small talk. Can't be with the small talk.
So like I said, I discovered your music about 2 years ago, and in fact the person who put me onto your music is our phenomenal 5FM music scheduler Nick Dawson, who's absolutely fantastic. Course Behavior is an EP of yours that I was just like, who is this man? We got to chatting a little after that, and since then I think 2023 was just nuts for you, and I think that's a lot of what I want to chat about. But before we get into your music, who the hell is Archi? You, in your video clips on Instagram, you're a songwriter, producer from Johannesburg, but there's so many other things you do. Just let's get into that.
Yeah, so I'm a songwriter, producer, artist from Johannesburg. I guess I don't like to just say like I'm a creative, because I feel like it's a very saturated word.
Yeah,
you know?
everyone's like
everyone's
creative.
Everyone is a creative director. But I like to make things, and I'd say music is my primary medium, and then I edit videos, and I do like little animations and things like that, and I like to draw sometimes, less these days, but I used to. So I just like making things, and then I like to package things as well. Like I like to kind of with music, I like to give it a video, and like kind of figure out what's the look of the sound.
And I mean, for someone who, like you said, you like packaging things, I don't think the kind of music you make can be boxed in.
I struggle, dude.
Because I mean, I've listened to a lot of your projects, which are, I will always be amazed at how, because you deliver these punches in the shortest amounts of times. I mean, one of your EPs has got a runtime of about 12 minutes, and then another one goes to, I think, up to 16 minutes. But in all your EPs, you deliver a punch. And in as much as we say you like packaging those things, clearly you do it so well. But in terms of your sonics, you really can't package that. And I'd like to imagine that the inspirations are just aplenty when it comes to making your music. Where do you draw some of that from?
I think in terms of inspiration, like for me, it's important that I kind of remain a little bit disconnected from the roots of where things are coming from, because I feel like it's if I can keep it less about me, then it lets me get to something that I really connect with. You know what I mean? And I feel like with inspiration, if I let it be vague in my head and I let it kind of come from a place where I'm not trying to identify it so much, then it's like I don't pollute it with my own stuff. You know what I mean? And it can come out. And I think one of the consequences of that is that it's like all of my projects are very different from each other. And I think part of that is me trying to find my sound, and then part of that is also I like to be comfortable finishing things regardless of like what genre they fit into. I think it's important. It keeps my creative doors open when I don't switch things off because it doesn't fit within a sound.
I mean, being comfortable with releasing something is, again, as a creative, I don't think we're ever fully satisfied when we do something. So I can imagine there are probably lots of records, lots of projects that you've sat on for the longest of times without wanting to release because you don't feel comfortable with it at that time. How long have you
so Course Behavior, that one that you were talking about, I'm pretty sure that's the first EP you heard. I sat on that EP for I think like 2 years. That's the longest one I've ever sat on. Since then I've tried to make sure that like if I've got an idea of what a project is, that it just comes out, because it doesn't exist until that's happened, And also I don't think holding on to things is helpful, because you just like become more obsessive, and I'm like a bit of a like something will bother me, and I've consciously had to let go of being like, I need to fix everything before it comes out, because otherwise I probably still wouldn't have released it.
I can imagine. I mean, you also said something so strong, like, then it's never out into the world that if you're always sitting on it. I think I read
it never exists.
It was something by Rick Rubin who says, like, the creative thing is always there, and as the vessels of creativity, it's kind of up to us to put it out into the world, and the longer we sit on it, the longer we restrict that creativity. And
no, exactly.
I mean, 2 years, I can imagine, is a long time to sit on something.
Hectic, man.
It was incredible when I listened to it. I remember I played on campus radio, and I was just like, I told the team, I was like, get this guy in here. It was fantastic. And since then, it's just been fantastic. Something I've always also admired about you is just the live settings, because I imagine you obviously maybe sit in a studio and you do these things, but you also work so hard to ensure that the live experience of your music is incredible. And for people who haven't been to live concerts, it's not just music anymore, it's an experience. It is I feel like it's a baptism, the first live experience you go to, and it's like, I am a new person. It's phenomenal. Is that always top of mind? Because you said you think about how the visuals will look, but do you also, when you're sitting in, maybe before you release the project, like, how will this sound live? How will the range?
So it never used to be a part of my process, and even I think Course Behavior was maybe the first one where it started to be influenced by how it would be live, but it's a part of the music that I love so much is performing it live. And since getting more experience doing that and having more opportunities to do that, and also seeing how the music becomes different, not in its arrangements, but just like in performing it for people, it becomes different. And I think it's influenced the kind of music I make. Like, it's definitely influenced it a lot. And I do think, okay, cool, when I'm making something, this one will be cool live. But again, I try and not have it be like I'm making the song to be live. It's like whenever I have it, it's like, oh, okay, cool. As a little coincidence, this would be,
because it
this
almost
would be good live.
Like you kind of alluded to this, it takes on another body when it's live. It's something completely different, and that's why I say it's an experience to kind of get to witness that live. And it's, I mean, I've experienced it. My goodness, I lost my brains that afternoon. It was crazy.
It's cool. I've been doing this thing where I've been taking my old songs and rearranging them into new live versions. So I've been performing with a band for 2 years. I think the one you saw, I was with my band off Broadway, and they're incredible. But then I've also been performing with a looping setup in the past few months. Trying to experiment with like a solo setup. So what I've been doing is I've been rearranging all of my old songs into new live versions that I can loop at shows. And it's another way where it's like literally it becomes another song, something which else. Has also been a nice thing, is to like revisit old tracks and kind of like bring them to life again, how I would do it now.
Because I mean that for me just goes to show that the education and the growth is non-stop. I think one of the EPs titled, how to make rap music. And it's almost as though you've stopped becoming the learner and you've become a professor. But even in that, professors don't stop learning. They don't stop researching. And it's incredible to see how you've moved from those stages. You're like, okay, let me go back, let me revisit, and how do we cook it up to make it sound, for another kind of body. And it's fantastic. Something else I've also noticed in the past 12 months, let's say, because like I said, 2023 was exciting, man.
It was a good year.
Sentimental tones, and then On This Hill, which I think in terms of firstly consistency, like giving us 2 EPs in 1 year, we are not deserving. But then
it was also a bit of a challenge for me. I was like, I felt like I needed to.
How long did you sit on those before you were like?
Those were quick. Those were super quick. I'd almost I had like an idea of sentimental tones by the time Course Behavior was out already, and then I'd made one of the songs for On This Hill by the time Sentimental Tones had dropped.
Come on, sure. So you were just like firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and I just figured like, I have the songs, they fit together nicely, and I'd been approached by somebody to be like, we want to drop this with you. So I was like, okay, cool. That's all in line. Let me just not overthink this and just put it out. And I think, yeah, dude, hey, the results have been good. So
I mean,
I'm trying not to sit on anything for 2 years ever again.
shamelessly punt this. Please go and stream it. Absolutely incredible records. I remember you'd actually snipped me a piece of Sentimental Tones to listen to, and I was like, it's very difficult not to share this at the moment.
But you were good.
Yeah, it's goodness. It's
you
been
held
fantastic.
tight,
And we'll go back to these records, but you also mentioned you're approached by people to work with. And I've noticed for you, collaboration is something that's, big for you. You love the people that are around you. You mentioned your band, but like there are also other incredible artists that you've collaborated with. Most recently, I mean, off the top of my mind, Imani Basquiat, Zuri, Steve is French.
Yeah.
How important is that kind of community that you've got set up?
It's very important. It's kind of the base of all of my operation. You know what I mean? I think it's like creative places are something. It's like you don't get a job and then go to an office. It's like you actually have to find your office by yourself, and you need to find your colleagues, and it's like you don't know who even works in your office, and you have to find that out for yourself. So building that community has been really helpful for me because it's let me connect to peers. But it's also, it's like my keyboard lecturer a few years ago, he was telling me about like creativity, and we were going over a theory lesson, like a music theory lesson, and he basically said, you can take all of music and you can box it into the rules, and you can put it into theoretical classifications about what's going on. Sure. But the root of creativity will forever remain elusive, is what he said. And I think if you've got access to other people who have an understanding of that, it's like then you've kind of got access to a bunch of those different roots. Yeah. And so it's inspiring, you know what I mean? Working with people who have a different form of creativity, and that elusiveness, although you probably can't understand it, it's like you can benefit from it.
100%. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a lot of the times we shy away from these things like collaborations. I always think of them like group assignments in school, and I loathe those with a passion. But like, I think your lecturer just put it so aptly that there are things that maybe other people don't know, and when it comes together, I mean, it's so fantastic. The fact that one understands how this wheel works and someone else, and bringing that together always results in the best.
And I think it'll leave you with new kind of impressions on what your own creativity is like. 100%. You know what I mean, and what your own direction is.
You start seeing it from different angles.
Exactly. It's like I always think you should put yourselves in rooms where you like doubt yourself afterwards. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
because like I thought I knew everything.
I knew everything, and now I've been to the songwriting camp, and I don't know anything, and these people are way further than I'd expected myself to be able to be at that time. Because I only think you can only ever operate to the bar that you know. You know what I mean? It's like the highest level is that you've ever experienced from anyone else is going to be the highest level that you can aim for. 100%. You know what I mean? So if you're in rooms with people who are challenging you, it's like
always like, let's go bigger.
Exactly. And it'll just improve kind of your perspective on where you are and like where you want to go as well.
That desire to constantly want to grow is always incredible. And I think in as much as you're growing creatively, personally, I can imagine the growth has been there. And I think we hear a lot of it. Not just in how you present the music, but also like in the lyrics and the sonics. It's all very incredible. And I think, again, like I said, hearing Sentimental Tones and then going into On This Hill, there was a lot of what I'd like to think, because I took it in some other way, and I was like, maybe this is the angle. And you're free to correct me if I was wrong with this, but I almost felt as though with coarse behavior, and I even saw this with some of the visuals, that there was a bit of back and forth with going in and or rather staying in, whether it's a confined space, and with the visuals, whether it's in the house versus going out. And there was a back and forth with that, whether the sonic sounded liberating or was very like chill. And then I'd like to think that journey kind of was personified with the 2 EPs that you dropped last year. I felt like Sentimental Tones was, I'm reserved, I'm with any confined space, so I'm comfortable here. But then On the Hill came out, and it was like, let's jump out. Let's go out with this. Even the visuals were all about that. Do you think that that's the kind of trajectory that your personal growth was headed into in between the EPs? Or?
It's interesting what you're saying about coarse behavior, and I kind of get you. I've been trying to not like write for myself, or like not like write in a way that makes it look like I'm writing a song. If you know what I mean, where it's like I'm trying not to be like, okay, cool, I'm a musician and I would say this next, and this is my song and this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to just kind of make it light again. And so I think from Sentimental Tones, I kind of gotten rid of the ego in the writing. And I feel like On This Hill is kind of the first one where I was like, okay, I've not written this to make me look a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this is coming from a place that I'm accepting rather than creating.
Sure.
If you get what I mean. So it was also liberating there. And then also for On This Hill, I kind of just want to be able to release any music that I want. So I put dance songs and indie and hip hop all in the same.
That's why, like,
all in the same
it felt
EP.
so open. It was
exactly.
It's not the same, and it's just upbeats, boom, 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 and that's why I felt like, because even for me, I mean, I listened to it and I was like, I also am fighting things that are keeping me, whether it's in a comfort zone or whether it's in the status quo, and I'm trying to break out of that. Listening to that and hearing all the tempos and all the different sounds was like, that's what growth is. You know, you're morphing out of whatever this is now,
the one thing,
into the outside.
And I think it's like it's difficult to, because I think as an artist, it's like you must be focused on what it is that you do, but you mustn't let that focus like box you in.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's very easy to do that, and like I see a lot of musicians who start off as rappers and they can feel themselves being pulled to another direction, but they don't ever embrace it because it's like they've established in their own mind what their kind of mode of creativity is.
Sure.
You know, and so I kind of was just trying to break out of that because I was feeling myself kind of going in that same direction where I was like, I want to write about different things. I want to be able to release a song that sounds different from everything that I've made, because that's always also something that people have told me about my music, is they say every song is so different. And it's actually really important to me. It's like I want to be able to express all the different avenues of my creativity, and like I'm starting a little like dance producer duo with someone called Namaka Star. I don't know if you know her. Yeah,
she's fantastic.
And I'm really excited about that as well, because it's something where it's like, okay, cool, my more like housey stuff has a home now. You know what I mean? So it's like, as soon as we decided to do this, it's like my dance music got better. You know, and it's like it got easier to make it because there wasn't this thing of, okay, but it's not going to go anywhere. Why am I even making this, you know?
And I think it speaks to how, just as humans, we're very multifaceted. And if we can be that broad and that different as humans, why can't the music?
No, and I think you have to indulge it as a creative person, you know, because it's like you that elusive root. It's like you don't know where it's coming from. So if you don't indulge a large range of things, then it's like you're never going to accidentally find anything, you know?
And I mean, restricting yourself from touching these things, because you're always going to have that niggling feeling of, oh my goodness, I wish I'd done this, I want to tap into this. And it's something that I think, just as humans, that thirst of wanting things just outside what we are given or what we are meant to stay within is always going to be there. And I think it's fantastic that with your music you are taking those liberties. And I mean, I'd like to imagine sometimes it gets scary to venture out of what everyone thinks Archi is, but in fact you've just gone again and again, and you're like, yo, I can go back to the drawing board and I can start afresh and just cook it out.
I mean, I'm happy about it, like that I have that variety available to me. I mean some people will tell me I'm wrong. Like, I'm sure there's some very well-paid music executives that'll say, no, listen, your brand isn't consistent enough. That's why you're not going to blow up, you know?
Sure.
But it's something that I believe in, you know? And I think it's like I'm not in this to do anything except express the things that I love, you know what I mean? So, and also I know myself, I'm stubborn, you know? If I didn't do it, I just regret it. You know what I mean? I just regret it. I'd be like, dude, you should have dropped this. And like the song that's performing the best of the last little while is like a full indie song, you know, Hostile. And it's like, that's that's something that's so different from what I was doing. But it's like one of the favorite things I've made, and the only reason I could make it is because I decided, listen, just make what you feel like making when you're making it.
I think, especially just even personally, that's just almost a wake up call, because there's so many things that a lot of times we're like, don't do it. It's outside of the normal. But like, the real question is, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Why the are you not?
Also, it'll grow you faster than what than this a thing you've been doing. You know what I mean? I always feel like the amount that you can gain from something it's not exponential. It's the other way around. Sure. You know what I mean? Where it's like you learn a lot at first, and then it's like you gradually make improvements. So it's like if you're always trying new things, it's like you're giving yourself a lot of moments where you're learning a lot quickly. You know, and I really believe in transferable skills, and I think in like a very broad sense. You know what I mean? There's always that joke about Snoop Dogg would roll really good sushi. You know, he could be like a master sushi chef. And it's like, I think like in a lot of senses that sort of attitude is true, you know? And also it's like art is all one thing. It's like if you're making indie, it's going to help you with your R&B, like regardless. I just think that's the truth. You could probably argue about it, but I just think it's right.
At the very core of what art is and what music is, if you're great at doing one thing, it should help you venture off into the other, which I think
so. It brings you new skills and stuff.
Just, you know, speaking of new things, and just not like new projects or whatever, but like the new experiences that have come out of, I'd like to think, the last year, because I mean, again, just sitting on the sidelines and looking what you did in 2023, like 2024 is then going to be insane if last year's anything to go by.
I'm feeling the pressure.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's going to say feeling the pressure. We're going to talk about this in December, and then what?
Yeah.
And then what?
I'll still be feeling the pressure.
But like, you know, at times I'd like to think it almost like lights a fire under your ass. And it's like, yo, let's just go out with this.
I also think the more things you do, like, the more you see what is still there to do. You know what I mean? Like, I think with last year, like I would have looked at that in a much different light when I was younger compared to when I was last year, you know? And it's almost like bittersweet, because it's like I don't think you can ever really appreciate your own growth from an outside perspective. It's like you have to kind of stay in a position where you're aware of the things you need to improve, you know what I mean? And it's like it's hard to look at yourself as just like, okay, he's doing this, because you've seen behind the curtain. It's like you see more and more behind the curtain, and you realize, oh damn, dude, people got 10 times as far as I got, and nobody knows their name.
I mean, it's that growing thing is never easy, is never comfortable, and you're always like picking up these things, and you're like, I could do better.
No, exactly. And then it's like you learn things about people that were like gods in your mind. You know what I mean? And it's like they went through the stuff that I'm going through. I need to stop being hard on myself. But I imagine, like, you know, just that, whether it's an imposter syndrome or whatever, there's always like, you said, the doubts creeping in, but you've managed to like twist it and make it work for you. Like you said, if you're in a room where people are making you think, oh damn, I could be cooking more, clearly you found a way to channel that kind of doubt, that kind of fear into something productive,
positive light. I mean, how were some of your struggles back then, and what were the things that you had to be like, okay, you know what, channel it into this way?
The first time that feeling happened, I almost quit. I almost quit.
I hear that.
I was like, oh my God.
I hear that.
It's like I suddenly kind of saw the scale of everything, and I saw all of my stuff in a new light. And it was like a big conversation for me. I was in Cape Town, so I wasn't at home, and I was in Cape Town for a few weeks, and it was a big moment for me, because I'd felt kind of disillusioned. You know what I mean? Where it's like you
like, I'm doing
it's
this,
like, yo, man, I wish I could just be as naive as I was 25 minutes ago. You know? And so it was like a really difficult thing, and to be honest, I don't know if I was able to not quit for any other reason than I'm just drawn to it. You know what I mean? And it's
there's
like
a real love for it.
There's a real love for it there. And I also I suppose I'm a little bit cocky. So I assume I can improve enough that I'll stop feeling like that, you know what I mean? But I think it's bad to not feel like that. I think it's
At times you've got to be
Yeah.
cocky about it. Because I think if you don't bet on yourself and if you don't back yourself to the point where you're like, nah, man, I can do this. If I push myself enough, if I, like you said, channel this into something more productive, then surely it's got to work out. And I mean, look now.
Yeah, I'm a lot better for
crazy
it.
things that you're
I'm
doing.
way better for it, and it did all come out of this kind of real moment of self-doubt and self-questioning. And I think if you aren't able to kind of see the moments that should make you feel like that, then it's difficult to grow past them.
Sure.
It's also just a thing about having like blind faith in yourself.
Yeah, which
blind
I
faith
can
in
imagine is
yourself.
very
Exactly,
difficult to have rooted, but
Yeah.
at some stage you've got to
No,
do it.
exactly.
You've got to be sometimes idiotic enough to think you'll pull off a lot
Yeah.
of crazy stuff,
Yeah.
even though at the moment it's like I don't have the capacities for
No,
that.
exactly.
But
yeah, also in your instincts though as well. It's like you've got to be able to. It's like you have to be in a room with someone who's like sold like who's gone platinum,
Yeah.
and you have to put forward an idea, and they have to say no, I don't like that, and you have to actually believe that it isn't a bad idea. Still, it's like you still have to back your idea. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what I mean by the blind faith. It's like you have to trust your own instincts as well.
I'm so happy we're recording this because I need a pen and a notepad
Yeah.
to like just carry this to
Yeah.
just going further. And I mean, again, I think betting on yourself clearly has got its perks, because look what you've been doing. You have been performing concerts, live venues all over the city. And I mean, there must be something that's very nuts when you think, goodness, you could have quit.
Yeah.
But now there are like people in the crowd who are singing along to your song, who are, and I mean, I know musicians don't make music for the people, but it's the people. No, they don't make it for the sake of, oh, I want the glory and whatever in a concert or a live venue. But then you do get to that stage, and it's like, whoa, people here actually give a damn about what I'm making. People are receiving it in a certain way, and I mean, I think you can always think to a certain extent like, oh, someone's going to enjoy it. But then it must be an incredibly nuts feeling to go, wow, this is how they receive it.
It's bizarre, dude, because also I wasn't like a drama kid ever. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't a performer. Or first time I'd ever been on stage was when I was like, okay, cool, I need to go perform this music.
And there's no time to like overthink it.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to like jump into it.
Sure.
But I think it's like, it's very weird that like people know your words. That was a very weird one for me. When it's like, okay, cool, I've got my regulars, my homies, they know the songs. I've played like, them for you 10 times, and then it's like, here's someone who I've actually never set eyes upon before, who
lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's weird, like some it's strange having people believe in you. That's like another thing that you have to kind of learn to deal with, is like not being overwhelmed by people coming and being like, hey dude, you're great. It's like, that's a difficult thing to own. It's like, it's a really difficult thing to own.
Because I mean, it's never that easy. I mean, it's one thing to have, just yourself to fight with and to go, I can do this, do this. But then someone's going, yo dude, we're cheering for you. And it's like that wasn't part of the agreement.
It's weird. And it does make it a lot more difficult to keep doing afterwards, because I was speaking to a friend about this long ago, and she was making little TikTok videos for fun, and she was doing like little artsy things, and it was like, just, she really enjoyed making them. And then one of them blew up and got like 2 million views, and like really was like, she was getting followers like crazy, and everyone was like, this is amazing, and she was just basically like speaking about how it kind of can paralyze you a little bit, because whereas beforehand you were just doing it, and whatever came out was what came out, and you liked it, and you just put it out. It's like, now people are saying you are great, so it's like it's difficult to not feel like you have to live up to your own level, you know what I mean? And it's like,
I mean, it's there's a stark difference between how you perceive yourself and then how people perceive you, and it's always a wrestle. And I think, I mean, I've experienced this before, where it's like, oh, people are like, dude, and it's like, huh?
It's like, what are you talking
So
about?
I can imagine that, like, when you,
Yeah.
again, you're performing something that you wrote, you sat down, whether it's at home or wherever, and you came up with these things, and now here's someone, you're performing out in Brahm, you are performing out in Pretoria, and they're singing them back to you, and it's like, don't know you from a bar or so, but you know my music, you care about my music.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It feels very special. It feels very, very special.
I can
I think it's like a nice, it's not something I'd ever really considered as I was getting into music. So it was like a nice kind of side effect of it, where it's like made it a little bit less of an internal journey. It's like it builds a sense of community.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of, you know what, dude, it's like you actually just have to not be stressed about letting people down, you know? It's like, yo, because it's one thing if you're wrong about yourself, but like to make everyone else wrong about
goes,
you.
Dude, we backed you.
Exactly.
We were all rooting for you. And
yeah.
I can imagine, because that's, and now I think I can appreciate when you say there's a lot of pressure behind it that you don't need, and you're like, how do I reconcile what I feel about myself with what other people feel about me? And I think it's, again, something you learn to pick up, but then you roll with those punches.
Yeah. It's the only thing.
It seems nuts. I mean, I constantly struggle with that, but you've just gone, this the mission.
Yeah,
and we're moving on with it.
No, I struggle with it. With it. I think it's also just like, it's like, it's supposed to be difficult. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah. If it's worth having, then you're gonna go
and
through.
then it's supposed to be difficult. And I think with something as personal as art, and then like as intimate as music can be, then it's like not only are you trying to do something that is like taxing on you socially and like with your energy and everything. It's like it's also directly linked to a very personal side of you, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to be able to sort of create that split, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, cool, I'm feeling pressure, but it doesn't actually have to have anything to do with my individual self. It's just it's just wrapped up in one thing because it's art. It's a weird thing to move past, though.
I can imagine. But there've been times where you probably, again, maybe it's not someone else who makes you realize it, but then you end up surprising yourself, and you're like, wow, even though I had these doubts, even though I felt this way, I pulled this off. What were some of those moments, at least, that you can recall in the last 12 months that were like, I'd always wanted to do this. I didn't think it would come so soon. I didn't think it would happen, but look where the hell we are. I
think the festival from last year's, the playing Homecoming Africa, was pretty dope for me. Yeah, also the A Reese working on P2 was insanity for me. That was like really surreal. It was a huge experience, and it was like something I felt like I deserved. You know what I mean? But I also I kept believing it wasn't gonna happen. You know what I mean?
I mean, how does that how did that even come about?
Through Michael Tui. He executively produced the album, and we're working on some like indie alternative kind of stuff. And this was a beat that had been passed around, and I had that idea for it, and he sent it with the beat, and it connected, and it was all beautiful and happened. Yeah.
It's a nuts record. When I heard it, I tweeted, I was like, no, I know this guy. Yeah. I know this guy on the Aries record. What is going on?
What is going on? Yeah.
I think...
Yeah, that's how I felt, dude. I was like, I know this guy. What the hell is going on? Yeah.
Again, that element of you shocking yourself. Like, it's just like, even though we as the outsiders can go, you're capable of this. We've been telling you time and time again. Now that you see it and you're like...
You know, I think it's also... But it's not like... It's not like... ever going to be the final piece of validation, I don't think. You know what I mean? It's like even listening to that song while it was out, I was like, oh my God. And I was really proud of myself, but I was also like stressed.
It's still
dude, I was so
people are gonna
stressed.
Listen to
this. Exactly. And it wasn't something that I had like too much control of, you know what I mean? It's something that I recorded in an afternoon and sent away. And I was like, okay,
whatever happens,
it's up to everyone else now, you know?
But it went on to the project and it was...
No, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of it still. And I thought it was a good contribution to the project, which is also something
Good
that's,
contribution, he says. Humble.
It helps
this
with
fellow.
it was
I thought
incredible.
it was good. It was, and again, I think maybe this goes back to the thing of like other people perceive what you have made in one light, and you're just like, that thing what I did in my room. Like,
no, I get you. It's a difficult thing to balance. It's a very difficult thing to balance. But I'm proud of it, and hey man, I want to do more of that kind of stuff. And it is like a, it's like a, I knew it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
always that stamp that's like,
yeah.
I always had that little feeling I could do it, and now here's the proof.
There's a little bit of evidence about it, which is it's really satisfying. And those moments don't really come very often, you know, where it's like you can actually just sit back and kind of be happy with the result of something. Yeah,
because there's a lot of graft behind it.
Yeah, there's a lot of graft behind it, and then even after, like, if you're releasing stuff and you're putting, like, I don't know, content out into the world, it's like you very seldom get to have the kind of moment where you can just sit back and appreciate what you've done, because it's like part of the work of the project is seeing how it did, and then continuing the rollout of it afterwards. You know what I mean? So there's so much work that comes, like, before, during, and after the project, that it can kind of blend together. It's nice to have work on someone else's album, because then it's like you don't have to do anything
You didn't
else.
do all the hard work, but you still
exactly.
And
I did the easy part.
it's just for me so incredible to see that there's still a lot of growth. There's still, and the growth doesn't stop, and you're embracing that it doesn't stop. And at the same time, like, they're just dreams that are out of this world that are being fulfilled. I mean, like, goodness, in a couple of years, you're gonna be a massive deal in the States, and we'll have to, like, fight people to get to contact you and whatnot. But,
let's see what happens.
Yeah, now
let's see what happens.
manifest. But it's just been so incredible to see that something that you nearly quit, that you at times felt like, maybe I don't want to do this, and I don't know, there's something about the ocean that us city people love. It just always gets life in order. Maybe I should go to Cape Town my next leave. But there's something about the ocean that always gets us city people in check, and I'm very happy that you got to see the ocean, and then
I think it was good timing. I think I'm glad that the first time I had that feeling of, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm glad I was in Cape Town. It's a distracting city.
100%.
It'll, like, really let you just get a hold of yourself.
And I mean, look where it got you now. Look at the insane things you're doing. You keep surprising yourself in great ways, but you keep a lot of us listening, there we go, singing along, and you help us kind of grow with it. Like I said, when the EPs came in last year was nuts. And
it was busy.
It was, I think I've still got whiplash from how crazy 2023 was.
It was crazy for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, and so for you to be able to kind of take the insanity that was the previous year and make a soundtrack to kind of go with it, I think is, again, for me, like I said, the time between the two releases was also for me a growth of, like, okay, everything is normal, and then in between all that, everything got loud, and then to end it off with an EP that was like, you know what, embrace the outside, embrace the changes, go out into that is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, man.
I will die on the hill that very few people are able to kind of do that, you know, create a soundtrack for a generation, if you will, that is going through all these ebbs and flows.
Well, I will, but only because you said it.
No, I'm telling you, we're getting that tattoo.
Big words, yeah.
It's a fantastic thing, and I will always blast your music from the rooftops. I remember, like I said, I played your music on campus radio. First time I played it at 5, I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. I snapped it, I put it on Instagram. I was like, do you know who this person is? And it's just a joy to see how that growth is kicking in. It's a joy to have again in really, if Dynamite does come in small packages, that's what your EP's a bit. It packs a punch straight in. And after watching this, I want you to go listen and just blast it out. And I promise you, it's just
I think On This Hill is a really special one.
It is
for me. Yeah, and the surprising myself is an important one. I think it's like I don't know. I used to play a lot of video games.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's moments that you go through. You can go around a corner. You can find a little secret, and it makes the whole game better from afterwards. And I think it's like those surprises is
you
what
keep
does
turning
that
the
for
corner,
you.
and you're like, boom. There's
No,
something.
exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. And I hope I can be surprising to everyone else as well.
I think there are many corners that you're gonna turn. There are many little Easter eggs you're gonna find in this journey.
No, exactly. I'm just trying to see them. You know what I mean?
I'm very happy to have not only seen, even if it's just a part of it, just seen some of that, listened to some of that, and I
thank you for being a part of it.
Man, it's
really,
I would not have had it any other way. It's
Tshepi did my first radio interview ever.
It was the first.
Yeah, it was the first radio interview ever. I was scared, dude.
Yeah, you see, and even after all this time, we're still very nervous. But again, I'm just so, for me, I think after getting, speaking to you the very first time, and then just witnessing everything after that, it's just been like, we're not going to be able to book this guy anymore.
No, I'll always be around. For you, I'll always be around. I'm going to send you my next one as well.
Exclusive. But I'm genuinely grateful. I think, again, if 2023 was nuts, this next year is going to be insane. Again, no pressure.
My fingers crossed. I've got a timeline, so I'm trying not to listen to external forces. I'm trying to just let my calendar tell me what to do.
I have no doubt it's going to be fantastic. I will be listening out, and I will be forcing everyone near me to be listening out as well.
Thank you. That's what we need.
Don't think it's going to be a difficult task in the slightest. But Archie, thank you so much, man. I have the biggest love in the world for you, and I'm super happy we got to
Likewise,
chat.
man. Thank you for having me and for being so much a part of the journey. You and Nick.
Yeah, it's
all the way from Tux.
And now look where we are. It's absolutely insane. But thank you so much.
That's crazy.
Man.
It's been lovely.
This is 5FM.